And good afternoon. Welcome to our listeners and our viewers to our Information Command Center right here at the studios of GIS. We're live on NTN, and we're also joined by a number of our partner stations all across Saint Lucia. This afternoon in studio with us, we have a very special guest who will be joining us in a moment. But ahead of this, I just thought we need to recap and bring our listeners and our viewers up to date as to some of the latest happenings. As you may have heard already, from Tuesday, April 7th to Saturday, 11th, a revised curfew of 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. will be in effect. Persons are encouraged to shop, and only 2 persons per family will be allowed in shops within their communities. The police will also be enforcing a new protocol of only 2 persons per vehicle. National holidays are observed on Friday, April 10th, which is Good Friday, and Sunday, 12th April, which is Easter Sunday. Supermarkets were allowed to commence restocking from today, April 6, 2020. The sale of alcohol will continue to be prohibited for this period. And we will keep on reminding our listeners and our viewers of these revised protocols, bearing in mind the message remains the same. Do stay at home. If you have no business on the outside, if you're not going out to get essential supplies only, please refrain from being out in the streets and allow those persons who really need to go out and restock on some of the supplies that they did not get over the last 6 days. Please allow them to do so. As I also mentioned, it will be maintained that we're allowing only 2 persons per family. So make sure that if you have 6, 7 persons who normally get their own individual supplies, that they give you that list and then you shop for those other persons within your household, folks. We need to do this to minimize the number of persons that we have out at any one time. What we're trying to do, and the CMO have been mentioning it, is to stop or contain the spread of COVID-19. And I just want to bring across a message here. Earlier on today, the WHO, during their media briefing, one of the things that they were stressing on is that people can transmit the COVID-19 virus even though they may be pre-symptomatic. That is, that they're not showing any signs of being sick, right? And therefore, they can still infect another person or persons through exposure. So this is why the social distancing, the wearing of masks, the limiting of contact with others, staying at home, washing of hands, disinfecting areas around you, and all of these other protocols that have been in place. This is why these things are so very important. We have to reiterate that despite the fact that we have 13 cases recorded, we are not in the all clear as yet. It's a very fluid situation. It changes by the minute. All over the world, we are seeing what is happening, and we ask persons to just show some restraint. You do not have to be out there. Please stay at home. It's for your own safety, the safety of your family, as well as the safety of the essential workers who are out there maintaining law and order on one hand, and also the healthcare workers who are trying their best under these tough circumstances to still continue to provide the best possible healthcare for our nation. In studio with us today, we are joined by Mr. Lake, Cadet Commander. Is that the right title?
The Deputy Commander.
Deputy. Okay, Deputy Cadet Commander. And the cadets have been doing an awesome job as far as assisting NEMO over the past couple of days. We'll get into that in a bit. But first, for those who may not know or may have forgotten exactly what the Cadet Corps entails, I just want Mr. Lake just to give us a summary about the Cadet and what they're all about.
Okay, good afternoon, viewers and all. The Saint Lucia Cadet Corps will be 91 years old on the 13th of July 2020, with the first cadet unit being established at the St. Mary's College on the 13th of July 1929. The Saint Lucia Cadet Corps is a paramilitary youth organization on the island. It is a watered-down version to a certain point of what a regular Defense Force or Army would do, where we involved in drill, weapon training exercises, disaster management procedures, first aid, map and compass, mountaineering, adventurous training, skill at arms. It's a whole variety of activities we involve. We try to engage the youth on a more disciplined approach in a lot of what we do. That's the long and short of what we do. There's a lot of other things we do, citizenship training, CVQs and all, but primarily that's what the Saint Lucia Cadet Corps is about. It's a paramilitary youth organization at various secondary schools around the length and breadth of Saint Lucia.
Mm-hmm. Give us a sense as to how many units you have across the island, and in total, how many cadets you have registered in Saint Lucia?
We have about 400 cadets on roll, which includes active and inactive cadets. They vary from the units on the island. Some schools have not maintained the unit because of lack of interest by the kids. But primarily we have cadet units all around the island, like I say, secondary schools. From, well, Grosley is no more, so that would have changed. So from Corinth going down to Vieux-Fort, PI, Soufrière, Choiseul, all of the island. The various schools, like there are low times and high times with the activity of some of the cadets going forward. But we are alive and well.
Mm-hmm. Now, coming to the situation at hand, COVID-19. Certainly this is not the first time, and I doubt it's going to be the last, where the Cadet Corps have been called to duty. We've seen you in action during hurricanes and other disasters, but this one is a bit different. How different is the situation for the Cadet Corps?
The difference with this one as compared to the others, with hurricanes, as person would know, that we normally assist NEMO in that regard, part of our mandate, being member of the disaster cycle. Because of COVID-19, well, let me backtrack. It started off before with the cadets assisting the move from the Victoria Hospital to the OKEU Hospital, starting the ball rolling before the shutdown procedure was given. In the event of a hurricane or some of the other activities we may be involved in, this one entails a lot of differences. Number one, maintaining the social distance. Previously, when we would have been deployed to assist would be search and rescue and distribution of relief supplies into particular areas, damage assessment and all of that. This one is totally different. What we are doing is actually the heavy lifting and ensuring that the requests which come in from the various disaster committees or persons of need, we ensure that the care packages are put together and delivered to a central point for distribution. The difference is we're not doing any search and rescue or damage assessment. Trying as best to maintain the social distance and bring relief to persons most at need. The older homes, the older folks who are unable to come out, from Dennery, across wherever the need arises that we have to go in, that is what we do.
So you're saying essentially your role with this situation, you assisted with putting the packages together at NEMO, but you also made yourself available to transport those packages to a central location, and that's across the island?
That's across, wherever the need comes across the island, we get it done. One in particular, before the locals who were held in the quarantine center, before they were released, we ensured that, well, NEMO ensured the care packages were put together, we delivered to them. We delivered to the site, and they are redistributed. The Saint Lucia Cadet Corps is not involved in individual distribution. A request is made through NEMO, it is passed down, we ensure that the packages consist of whatever items are available, whatever's on the packing list, we bring it to a central depot, and then it's redistributed to whoever is at need. We are not involved in individual distribution in any way, shape, or form. We do the heavy lifting from the containers, from the panel vans, the trucks, whatever is brought in. We destuff these containers and items. We put them into individual bags. We have a count, we sign off, and we bring them through.
Okay. Earlier on you mentioned that you also participated in the transition from Victoria Hospital to the OKU. I think that transition was completed sometime last week before the shutdown, the lockdown. Yes. What did that entail? What did your assistance entail with regards to that?
The cadets who partook in that incident ensured that items which had been moved from Victoria were loaded onto the vehicles transported to the OKEU and put in some of the rooms. They were the heavy lifters in some of these instances because the nurses and all of the ancillary staff were not available. It was a service that we could have helped out with. It was done. Just once a request comes in that regard. In a lot of instances, once we get that information ahead of time so we can call out the officers who are very lax at work or the employers are aware of what they do, to give a national service. That is done as more often than people think.
Okay. Going forward, what are some of the protocols in place so that you guys continue to render your service to the public and to the agencies like NEMO and others?
Well, under the disaster cycle, the chair of the supply committee is our commandant, Lieutenant Colonel Nathan Hyacinth, previously held by Lieutenant Colonel Andre Matrin. So the cadets have been involved in that supply chain, being chair of that committee. We, the others, the six running the operations room at NEMO, and also coordinating portions of training and distribution. The intent is to carry on in that vein. Some of us are not as young as we used to be. So it's passing on whatever we have learned over the time to ensure consistency moving forward. We're here to stay.
Are you also represented on NEMAC?
Yes,
you guys sit on those meetings?
Yes.
Going forward?
The chairman, Lieutenant Colonel Matra, sits on it, aided by Major Answorth Shalmine. I wear another hat as well, where I'm the EOC manager. Once the EOC is formulated, we start the process moving forward. So the cadets have been very much involved in it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to gloat now and take this opportunity and thank all the cadets who are out there. Thank their families, their wives and girlfriends for allowing them to come out. Whereas you speak of the other persons who are in the front line, the police officers, and hello to my police officer friends as well, the nurses, the custom other persons. The other side of it, before these persons actually get to these areas, the cadets and the other volunteers assist in going to these areas as well. When deliveries are made or dropped off in particular areas, you have residents who come out and give you information as persons who they think may need additional medical assistance because of COVID-19. So they are on the front, we are on the front lines as well. So that is another point that we look forward, and we try to follow and maintain the social distance in that regard. So moving forward, it's just a tweak into some of what we would normally do because COVID-19 is new, and what we're hearing from Ministry of Health will change some of our activities going forward. Until there is a wonder drug, wonder pill for COVID-19, it will change a lot of our activities and what we render going forward, trying to maintain that social distance.
Yes, and you mentioned something that's also very important, volunteering. This is done on a voluntary basis, and at the same time, since this is something, a new situation, you guys are also putting your health at risk by being out there.
Yes, we are. We're very cognizant of it, that whereas we are volunteering, it's just done from the heart. Persons come out every day, cadets come out every day, the officers and others, from as early as 7:30 in the morning. We have our final brief, sometimes a little after midnight. And when you go through the process of sanitizing before you get into your home, you back out at NEMO between 7:30 and 8 the next day. So it's a long hours that these volunteers put in.
Yes.
You get nothing in return. You're just satisfied that you are able to help render that assistance, bring to those more in need, ensure that equitable distribution of the stuff is done. Persons at the far ends of the islands where nobody would like to go because it's tiring, call us, we get it done. And like I said, this has been going on for years now. Persons would have more, would have remembered more what happened in Thomas, but it happened from time of Hurricane David in 79. When the Venezuelans came in, the cadets were the ones who assisted with that move, in assisting in the distribution of relief supplies. So it has gone as far back as 79 era.
Yes, and we have been seeing the images here at GIS NTN. We've captured some of the images of you guys being very hard at work at NEMO and distributing those packages, and well, not distributing them, but putting them together to be prepared to take to the different depots, as you mentioned. We're going to take a look at some of those images again in a bit, but right now we're due for a break.
wash them before.
Eating or handling food or caring for infants, sick or elderly people.
Wash your hands. Wash them after.
Using the toilet, touching raw meat, handling pets and livestock, playing outdoors, cleaning or handling waste and garbage.
Wash your hands. Wash them often.
You are going right when you make a habit of washing your hands several times a day.
This message brought to you courtesy the Bureau of Health Education of the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
And welcome back to our Information Command Center right here at the studios of GIS. We coming to you on our numerous stations all across the island. Joining us for this interview, we have been speaking with Lake, who's the Deputy Command Officer. Did I get it right this time?
Deputy Commandant.
Deputy Commander. Okay. So right now we're just going to take a look at some of the images that we have been able to capture of the cadets very hard at work assisting NEMO in their efforts in putting the packages together to bring relief for some persons who have been in need during the 24-hour lockdown. Exactly on what day did your efforts spring into action? Because I think from when the 24-hour lockdown was announced, when did you begin your operations with NEMO?
The same day of the lockdown. We have to remind each other what day of the week it is.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. I'm speaking to you. I'm saying it, and I'm trying to remember. Okay, yes.
From the day of the lockdown, we would have been notified, we would have been activated, and persons would have been out, starting the preparation of the area, ensuring that at least the forklift and all the items at NEMO were functional. We had the bags and all to come in. And there are a number of names that come in. I wouldn't do it at this point, but later on we can get all the names of all the persons who have assisted. We went as far as cadets from View Fort. Officers from View Fort coming up to Castries to assist in packaging, ensuring that the others who are there are not burnt out, because burnout can happen. When you have two persons moving a 100-pound bag of flour, rice, sugar, in that regard, you understand what it is.
Yes.
So what they have been doing is ensuring that the containers are the stuff as quickly as possible so they can return to the pots. Because it doesn't make any sense having the containers full of anything at all and you're not getting to the persons that need.
All right.
So there are other volunteer groups as well, but they are not involved in that aspect of it because of our close links with NEMO. So the cadets are the ones who would receive the items, not receive, but de-stuff the items, give a tally of what is there, bring it to the front of the volunteers for redistribution. The cadets we have a fast-track team. For instance, if 200 packages were needed for a particular area, and the volunteers who work at day speed, we'd get one of our teams in and say we need 200 packages now.
All right.
And you'll get it almost now.
Okay.
That's a zeal they have in getting it done. But it's something we have been doing. This is not the first time we're doing it. So it's not a matter of reinventing the wheel. It's like
you have the mechanism.
Yes,
in
it's
place.
like a production belt going on.
Yes.
So every time we have new volunteers come in, we go through the process of saying this is what should be done. The production belt doesn't end with you. You start off and you move through, and that's what we are going on, passing on to all the other cadets who come in to render assistance. We also have a number of ex-cadets who have come in to render that assistance as well.
Okay.
Persons, well, maybe cabin fever got them in, so they say there's no opportunity
to come get out for a few minutes.
Come back and help out.
Yes.
We have some other persons who have come in with their personal vehicles because we don't have that many vehicles to go out. Just an idea, one of the vehicles can only hold about 50 family packs. So if you need to bring 200 packs to an area, that's like 4 vehicles, and that's depleting the cadre of vehicles you have available. So you have other persons chipping in their own private vehicles to render that assistance as volunteers.
Okay.
Not asking for fuel or anything in return, they just want to assist. Come in, load the vehicles, go with 1 or 2 of the officers to deliver these items and back. Free of charge. Volunteering is not dead in Saint Lucia.
Okay, that's
It's alive and well, and persons, like I said, they come with open hands, want nothing in return.
Yes, yes. When I get back to you, I want to speak a little about debriefing, but right now I just have a notice coming to hand from WASCO. Persons may not realize it, but we are in the dry season right now, and we have had very little rain over the last few days. So WASCO urges conservative water use in light of drought warning. The Water and Sewage Company wishes to draw the public's attention to a drought warning issued by the Med Services Department and concerns relating to this prevailing dry season and the impact thereof it is currently having on our water resource. Dry conditions continue at this time, and the prediction for this weather pattern has been forecasted well into 2020 by weather experts. This has continued to deplete the raw water supply from the traditional abstraction points within the river system, as well as the John Compton Dam Reservoir. As a result of this dry spell, WASCO is currently considering a number of options to ensure that the available water supply is distributed to all customers. Considerations under review include the extension of a valving schedule, which has already been implemented in some communities. WASCO also urges customers to immediately implement the following measures. Repair all noticeable water leaks within the home and/or premises. Install or replace defective ball valves in your toilet tanks. To conserve water, it is advisable to stop using a hose for the washing of vehicles and bicycles. Stop watering lawns. Shut taps while using soap on your body or shaving or brushing teeth. Shut taps while washing, rinsing dishes, or clothes. Harvest rainwater whenever possible for household use and watering plants. Use water-saving devices on the taps or houses at home. WASCO is mindful of the increased demand for water at this time as the country seeks to stem the spread of COVID-19 through the mandated health protocol of frequently washing of hands, clothing, etc., and of course, social distancing. WASCO seeks the full cooperation of the public to the foregoing as it tries to manage the supply of available water to serve every community. The Board of Directors, management, and staff of WASCO wish to extend our thoughts and prayers to all of our clients, government, and the people of Saint Lucia as preemptive measures are taken to curtail the spread of COVID-19. So there you had it, a message from the Water and Sewage Company, reminding our listeners, our viewers, and the general public that we are experiencing a dry spell in Saint Lucia right now, and so be very mindful of how you utilize water. We know the protocols demand that you wash your hands frequently and keep your areas as clean as possible, but do so conservatively. And those folks who have been experiencing water problems, be mindful that WASCO is doing their best to ensure that water is being brought to all parts of Saint Lucia. We now take another break.
In a world where germs are widespread, comes a group of superhero germ busters, the germaphores.
We spend most of our time fighting germs, every day of the week. After I play, I wash my hands. Before I eat, I wash my hands. After I play with my puppy, I wash my hands. I cover my sneezes with my forearm or elbow when I am in public. And I cover my cough to avoid spreading dangerous germs. We are the germaphores, germ-busting superheroes. You can be too. Always wash your hands and cover your sneeze and cough. Let's stop the spread of menacing germs.
We'll be back, germaphores, with more powerful germs.
And we will be waiting to prevent you from spreading.
And welcome back. We've been speaking with the cadets, and just getting some information, they've been giving some great service and assistance to NEMO over the last few days, despite the fact that Mr. Lake is looking like he's 16 years in our studio here with us today, but we know they've been very tired and putting in that kind of work. I just wanted to find out from you, of course, over the years you mentioned you all have been involved in disasters, hurricanes and what have you, relief efforts where these are concerned. And I would recognize that persons, you're only human.
Yes.
And you come face to face with some severe experiences, some traumatic experiences as well. What is there in place in terms of your debriefing and also offering your members some sort of counseling following these interventions?
At the end of operations, we normally have counselors come in and run that session. It's only at those debriefing sessions you understand that some persons who you think may be problematic is deeper rooted than that. So the critical stress debriefing happens at various intervals. Previously, all during the exercise, it has happened. For this time around, we have not dealt with any of the critical stress debriefing. That hasn't come about as yet, because we're still live in what we are doing. The difference is, during the hurricanes, you would have seen immense damage, carnage, death, major destruction, and all. This one is different because you haven't seen that as yet, but you are going out in the field in a different tune. So we have not, when we have a better understanding as to when we're going to be scaling down, which I doubt will be just yet, it'll give us a better understanding of what the stress debriefing will be about. Then we'll contact the relevant persons who would get it done. With the social distances, it may be different, because normally you do it in a group session where you understand, everybody understands what's happening. So we have not gone around that portion of it, like I said, because we're still live in the operation. Mm-hmm. But it is not forgotten. We have it after every session, every situation where the cadets have come together. Mm-hmm. We ensure that is done. We may not follow up as we should, but it's normally offered then. Mm-hmm. We even had massages done in the past because of the heavy lifting that is done and the conditions under which one operates. But I guess it has not happened this time around because of a different operation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We woke up and suddenly the world is a different place.
Oh, it is.
And we had planned several things, some of us, different institutions, organizations. You mentioned earlier, 91 years in July. What were some of the plans that the Cadet Corps had for observing your anniversary?
Caribbean Cadet Camp. Saint Lucia was due to host the Caribbean Cadet Camp, where the Caribbean islands, including a detachment from the UK and possibly BVI, come into Saint Lucia and have a 2-week annual exchange camp. That had been shut down as all other national activities because of what it is. This was our time to host. It was our time to boast, to gloat. Mm-hmm. A number of the islands were looking forward to coming into St. Lucia. At this point, Tony, I want to say a shout out to all the cadets presently working at the NEMO headquarters, from the executive, Lieutenant Colonel Hyacinth, the staff officer, Major Shalmai, Major St. Jules, Captain Thomas, the whole lines, Captain Elise, all the officers are there. I don't want to miss out anybody, but all the officers out there are there right now. They're not even aware of this interview going on.
Yes, yes.
There's not even time to sit down and look at this interview. All you are trying to do is get packages out to persons. Mm-hmm. So it'll be a surprise when they do get word of it from the family members or peers who have told them what's happening. Yes. And even if it was on, the situation does not allow them to do it that way. This is another opportunity for them to, since the cadet camp is not going to be hosted this year, all the energy that we put into it are being thrown into this now. The only difference to this and the others is that we have no children out there.
Okay.
Only adults are involved in this operation. Because a few parents are saying, well, I have a son who is a cadet or a daughter who is a cadet. We have deliberately excluded the kids from that aspect of it because of the danger portions of it. We're not sure, we can't guarantee that they will go through the proper processes of sanitizing when you go home or having the requisite portion, whatever your concoction is thereafter to sanitize. Yes. So we have reduced it only to officers. So if we had to go through the contract tracing, it will be limited. But I'm saying all this time would have been getting ready for closure of school, for Saint Lucia to host the Caribbean Cadet Camp.
What has been your interaction with some of the regional cadets
Everybody,
over the whole COVID situation?
all persons we have spoken to, the various islands, Barbados and all, are saying this is something new it's new to all of us. All of us, we have all went through our own sets of disasters, our own bits of curfew, like in Jamaica and all, but from Antigua down, persons are saying they're not sure what's going to happen going forward. Nobody knows what's happening. I mean, going back to NEMO, to base operations now, is going to change with the notification from WASCO of the water situation.
Yes, yes.
That will further challenge our operations. That the waters person would have consumed would have to be used for washing of hands, because you do not know when or which area you're going. There may or may not be pipe-borne water, or the persons you deliver to at whatever station may not have running water to give you to wash down your hands. So it now changes. We have to strategize differently.
Yes.
But it's similar. While that is going on, or we're planning to see how we will handle it, the work is going on.
Yes, yes. And we talk about water, but we also have to remind our listeners and viewers about waste collection. The Saint Lucia Solid Waste Management, they are in operation as we speak, but waste collection is limited to 1 day. So see, for example, your garbage collection is on a Tuesday and a Thursday, they will only be limiting the collection to 1 day, which may be the Tuesday. So be very mindful of that. Secure your waste very properly, as always, not just during this COVID-19 situation, but you're always reminded to keep your surroundings clean and continue to practice the best practices in terms of washing your hands, sanitizing your area. The social distancing is very, very important. I want you to just make a special appeal, Mr. Lake. You wear the hat of a cadet right now, but as a police officer, as a Saint Lucian and someone who lives there, your experiences dealing with persons, and over the past few days, we've seen persons, breaking the protocol. I just want you to make an appeal to Saint Lucians as to how serious and how important this is right now.
Saint Lucia, we are trying to flatten the curve. And at every opportunity we go on Facebook or we listen to the media and all the news items that come out, everybody has a different idea of how to flatten the curve. In order for Saint Lucia to lift its head along with this COVID-19, we have to follow some of what is said by the authorities. You may not like what is said. And if you follow what's happening regionally, with what's happening with Trinidad and Jamaica, with persons who feel they can say what they want about the government of the day, or the person, not government, the police who are instituting the curfew and all, it is to ensure that we flatten that curve and we don't have to overwhelm our medical institution. If you look around NEMO presently, there's a lot of garbage from what is brought in. We are asking you to assist us in reducing it. The cadets don't make the runs to the Deglo landfill. When all the boxes and the cartoons and stuff come in, we load the trucks ourselves. The cadets go to Deglo and deposit all the garbage. We have assistance from the garbage collectors, city council, I think it is, who come when they can. But it's just going out to show the extent that persons are going. The other volunteers who are there, Captain Cassius, who drives the truck all the time with his team, Lieutenant James at the forklift. I mean, it goes on and on and on. We can beat this. And like Dr. King and other persons would say, even the CMO, we can beat this. It is not business as usual. We have to follow what is said. Even if you may have your own personal idea of what should or should not be done, the science is what is working out right now. We do not have the capacity in Saint Lucia to deal with more than a few persons in ICU. Now we knock wood that we haven't had any deaths through COVID-19. We don't want any deaths. We want to do what it is, so in a few weeks' time, we will meet somewhere and have a common beverage and speak about what happened during the time we were locked in, during the time of cabin fever, and laugh it off that we were able to beat it. But until such time, I implore you to listen to the authorities. Follow the instructions given by the police. Follow the curfew, social distances. The biggest factor is your partner, you're not sure if he is asymptomatic or not. You do not know who is what. Treat every person as one who has COVID-19, and then you will see a difference. Treat every person other than a member of your family who has been out as a possible carrier of COVID-19, and we can beat it. It's only for a short time. It's not indefinite. That's my message to you, Saint Lucia.
And you mentioned short time, but the longer we stray away from the protocols, we out there doing as we please, the longer we're going to be in this.
Of course.
The quicker we obey the protocols, stay indoors, practice the various measures, hopefully we'll be able to flatten the curve and be out of this at the soonest.
I mean, I've seen the commissioner, Acting Commissioner Daisy, and Assistant Commissioner Sylvia Daisy coming around as well and helping out. The police have a task on their hands, and I speak as a police officer now, with persons wanting the police officers to do a lot more. The police officers are only human. They tire as well. Mm-hmm. The police officers only want you to follow the instructions because you think they want to be on the road looking for persons who are breaking curfew, looking for persons who are not following the two-to-a vehicle, looking for persons who don't follow the safe distances. They have families to go to. They would like to be home and have somebody else do it, but it is their responsibility. Work along with them. The quicker we can flatten that curve, the quicker we could see that there's no more in-country transmission, the better for us. We may be the first ones on the block to flatten that curve and go to a level of normalcy. A lot of the persons want to say they want to have a drink. The drinks ain't going anywhere. Mm-hmm. Everything is there waiting until the all clear or partial all clear is given. My idea is that the government authorities have taken a stance to review the curfew, to review the period, so persons will have a little more freedom. I can foresee if a spike goes on again, it goes back to what it was, but we don't want that. There is always time to have fun and do everything else. When this is done, I'm not sure how the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Days, you have a task on your hand compensating these officers for the amount of hours they are putting in. When these persons decide to put in for some time off, somebody has to do, the work has to carry on.
Yes.
The nurses as well who are putting them, I mean, it goes on. We can speak about it. There are a number of players in this game. Look at it as a production belt. No one agency or institution does on its own. Each one helps the other in getting it done. Certainly. The police are the law enforcement portions of it. They maintain it. The medical persons, the cadets are the one the deliveries and all. You have others who bring the supplies in. You have others who procure it. You have others who work on the door. So it goes on. It's a cycle that goes on. And everybody has a part to play in that. And your chain is as strong as your weakest link. So once that is broken, you have problems going around. Mm-hmm. I see persons who disregard blatantly what it is. Of course, there's time for barter. This is Holy Week. We would have not been doing some of the things we're doing now or some of the requests we're making now. It's just a few steps back, self-introspection, and see what it is. Some persons are saying they are having fun if families didn't have before. Mm-hmm. Persons are coming in, and I need to say this, persons are everybody else you speak to want to pass. Because whatever they're doing, they think it's essential. I'm not saying no, it's not within my right, but as a police officer, I'm going to enforce persons I see driving if all the requisite passes on their vehicles. Everybody wants a pass to be on the road.
Yes.
Everybody has something critical urgent to go and do. And we're not saying no. The same way the borders were shut and we had no say in it, there are some instances where the request persons are making for passes, which I wouldn't say on air, are laughable in some instances. Some are genuine, but in some cases, in order to maintain it, you can't have everybody living life as normal. I fear tomorrow that Saint Lucians will not heed what is being said and flood the supermarkets, notwithstanding that the shutdown was given without any notice at all. I'm worried about tomorrow and the possibility of persons who are not sure if they are infected with the COVID-19, not maintaining the safe distance. So the police are going to assist in enforcing that portion of it. Imagine police officers who should be doing other work are looking to see if two persons are in a vehicle moving out. It's additional onto them.
Yes.
Because there will be persons who are trying to break the traffic rules and regulations other than 2 persons per vehicle. So the police are additionally burdened with that responsibility. They still have to maintain law and order in all what goes on. That is why the cadets are handling that portion of it, so the police force can do what their primary role and function is maintaining law and order in that regard. So I'm imploring to St. Lucians, follow the instructions given. You will get vexed and like a Superman, if you're like it, Buddha wall. But we have to do what is told. You think all of us want to be what we're doing now? I'd quickly like to be home, looking out for a Monday afternoon lime, cool out with my partners, do some of the fun things to do. I don't think this is indefinite. Something will come out at some point in time, so bear with it. Life carries on. There is enough time for having all these social activities and having fun. I'm sure now we see that we can have a lot of meetings other than Zoom and Teams and all other ways of having these meetings out. That in some areas, work is still going on. We can do it, we can. It is just that it is not the normal way of getting it done. If we take a back step and see what it is with the US and all these areas which have more resources than us, are overwhelmed. We had 13 and we hope and pray it doesn't go up.
Yes.
That those who are now that we're sick, we see the reports now that these persons have recovered well. They're still quarantined, but they're home, they're not under the care of the medical institutions again. That's what we want to see, not one death for COVID-19. We can beat it.
And that's the prevailing message, folks, that this too shall pass. And even you mentioned Holy Weekend going into the Easter weekend, with the curfew being shortened from tomorrow, 7 p.m. to 5 a.m., it is a reminder to persons that tomorrow is not a day for sightseeing. It is not a day for going and rhyme or take videos or capture photos, folks. There will be a time for that. We are asking persons to pay attention, listen to the various protocols in place. It shouldn't take a police officer to come up and say, hey, stay 6 feet from the other person. We've been hearing the messages over and over again. Yes, the stores will be open, not the stores, the supermarkets and mini-marts are open tomorrow, and persons are asked to remain within their communities. For example, you live in Grosley. There are enough shops and mini-marts in Grosley. There's no reason for you to leave Grosley and drive into Castries or go down to VA4, unless you're part of the essential services. And all of these measures, the police are going to reinforce or enforce tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday is Good Friday. All shops, all places will be closed. Saturday again. Sunday, Easter Sunday. Monday, Easter Monday. And again, we're saying to persons, traditionally, we know the Easter weekend would have been a time where persons go to the beach, your picnics, your river lines, what have you. This is not going to happen this year. The social distancing is in place. The large gatherings are no more from now on until we're given the all clear. We're not sure when that is going to be, but the sooner we adhere to all of the protocols and we stay at home, the sooner we hope that we'll get over this. So we're imploring you to do what is right. We want to thank Mr. Lake for being here with us today, for putting out some of the information. We want to thank the cadets for the service they've rendered over the past few days and will continue to render as we continue our fight, our response to COVID-19. Thank you, sir, for all your efforts. And thank you to all the volunteers out there, the nurses, our frontline soldiers, doing what they have to do to ensure that we come out of this as soon as possible. Thank you for staying tuned with us. Thank you for joining us here at GIS, NTN, and continue to stay with us for all of the updates where COVID-19 is concerned.
In December 2019, there was a cluster of